Before my time begins, can I ask a question about like rules and things?
Sure.
I haven't been able to go through the official disability accommodation process, but because it's like really expensive, but I have like a speech impediment. So if there's any accommodation that the chair would deem appropriate to grant for that today, I would appreciate it.
We're happy to give you more time if that's what you're asking for.
Yeah, as you see appropriate.
Okay.
I promise my line of questioning is relevant. To that point, the only other question I had before my time begins is just if it is okay if I ask questions and use my time to hear answers from the committee?
No,
Okay.
you're here to give us your testimony on the bill.
Totally, that's fine. That was gonna inform what I was gonna say. This is my first time on the Capitol Hill.
Can you pull a microphone up? Yeah,
Yep.
thank you.
My legal surname is Armstrong. I won't disclose my legal first name if not needed because I am a transgender individual and I face significant security risk every day of my life just for my gender identity. As my fellow testifier has said, it is a significant change to our lives since these bills have started to be introduced. If it's not obvious, I'm here to express support for ESHB 1469. Real quickly, I do want to acknowledge that we are all on stolen land. I would like to give and receive feedback. However, I cannot receive the feedback per what you had just mentioned in regards to the means and ways of this bill, and I am not here to entertain unproductive rebuttals or questions that challenge this bill predicated on the grounds of debating the legal moral implications of legally protected provisions of care to people seeking abortion and gender affirmations, regardless of the state of residence from which they come. So to that point, all of the people who have spoken previously that oppose this bill had very little to say as to the monetary aspect of the bill, but predicated their arguments on legal or moral grounds. Furthermore, my own personal research, which I will happily follow up with post hearing, shows that each of those three individuals, or four, I may have lost count, I'm a bit flustered, have significant ties to right-wing hate organizations and are likely not acting in good faith as people that want to express real community support for what they have said here today. As I conclude the portion of rebutting the claims made by the detractors of this bill, I want to point out that I have yet to hear in the line of questioning that started after the information was given about this bill, any real significant fiscal objections to this bill that include any good faith proposals for amendments or ways of funding the ways by which this bill would be adjudicated and enforced. The reality is that based on the 5 hours I've sat here as I've missed an entire day of work at my own personal expense and paid gas money to get here, the people that are silent in the lack of support for this bill are noticeably not here despite significant personal sacrifice that I came to say. There are a lot of ways that we can fund this bill. It is a Ways and Means Committee meeting, so if anyone had anything to say in significant amount in regards to the ways or means of funding this bill and enforcing it, then I would happily have addressed those rebuttals, but I heard none. Brief statements were made, but they were all, again, predicated on a religious basis that seeked to argue the moral and legal implications of providing care to transgender people, regardless of their age or the state that they come from. Finally, I will say that out of all the things that I found egregious about lies that have been told in regards to transgender people, is the seemingly unchallenged misinformation that abounded.
Please wrap up.
Yep. In conclusion, all I have to say is this. If there are any senators here today, and I'm sure there are, that are planning on voting against this provision, just know that in the final hours of registering for testimony, it became clear that efforts were made to show a disproportionate amount of support for people that have spoken against this bill. So a lot of con votes were registered repetitively, and in the final hours, me and my community in this state were able to rally support to outweigh those votes, such that the
Okay.
total testimony
Thank you.
came to 70% in support of this bill and 30%
We all have
that suggests that most of the data
We
that
need
was
you to stop. We've heard your testimony. We've given you a lot of time. We need you to stop. We understand your perspective. We've heard it. We have access to all the data that you're talking about. And no, you need to stop because we need to hold a fair hearing. Thank you very, very much for joining us today.
I hope you feel like your primary campaigns are well financed. You crossed the line. I yield my time.
All right.
Thank you.
We have two more people on this bill, Rebecca Gardia and Dana Karish. Gabriel?
Hello, my name is Gabriel Jacobs. I'm a father of 3, licensed foster parent, and I've been volunteering with children for the last 16 years. I'm here on my own time today. Let me be clear, what adults will do with their own bodies is none of my business. However, there's nothing more important to me than protecting children. In February of this year, the New York Post published a study saying that 4 out of 5 children who question their gender grow out of it. This is really consistent with what I've seen in my own home. This indicates that costs related to children in this bill are woefully inadequate. They could increase by 5-fold. And the cost to the taxpayers will be high, but the cost to the families and the children will be much higher. Let me quote from the 14th Amendment. We believe in protecting children from those who would destroy their innocence and exploit them for their own purposes. On the whole, parents are the best protectors of their children and have the natural right and duty for their care, custody, and control of their children. I urge you to vote no.
Thank you. Julie Barrett.
Good afternoon, Madam Vice Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for allowing me to speak today in opposition to House Bill 1469. I'm Julie Barrett, founder of Conservative Ladies of Washington, also a resident of the 44th District. Creating this shield law is not only unnecessary, but it is dangerous, putting minor children at great risk for trafficking. In collaboration with Senate Bill 5599, this bill would allow children to come to Washington from other states without parental consent or even notification. It will be very easy for vulnerable children to be targeted and trafficked into Washington for irreversible surgeries and medication. As lawmakers, you have a duty to protect our children from harm. This bill is also guaranteed to get Washington into legal battles with other states as they pass laws to protect minor children and we pass laws to alienate children from loving parents. Just yesterday, Kentucky passed a bill that protects minor children from these services, and other states are doing the same. When we disregard the laws of other states, we can rest assured that legal battles will ensue, costing the taxpayers of Washington millions of dollars. Given the substantial citizen opposition to this bill and the conflict it will create with other states, I urge you to vote no on 1469. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric Pratt.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the committee. My name is Eric Pratt. I am from the 24th Legislative District, and I'm here to speak in strong opposition to 1469. I just don't understand where we're trying to go with this. When we're trying to help kids, if that's the tone, if that's the intent of some of the various other laws, I happen to disagree with things like 5599 and some of the other laws, but if that's our intent to save children, why are we limiting the ability to investigate a case in which something bad may be happening? You're narrowing the way that investigators can find information if a child is trafficked, or if, say, they've been exploited by one of these shelters that are now going to be operating with impunity in the state of Washington. I urge you to reject this because you are actually adding to the risk for children by not allowing parents and other people to investigate and thoroughly uphold their stewardship of their family. So again, I urge you to please vote no. And I want you to consider this as well, that in contrast with some of the other laws or bills that are being passed through, such as 5078, which adds to the Attorney General's powers to reach out of state, you are compromising other states' ability to come in so that they can do something in kind. So I think there's a bit of a conflict there that you guys should consider.
Thank you.
As a father, please oppose. Thank you.
Thank you. Danny Askini.